So just a moment, I had to end the stream because I was running into a couple problems. So I restarted it with hopes that the stream will not give you guys so much buffering on your end. So today we are talking about whether or not you will know when you're ready to start doing illustration full-time, part-time, and essentially going into children's books and talking about that in a bit more depth. So I'm gonna continue the sketch that I had started from my previous stream while I explain to you what I think regarding this topic. Well, I think I'm gonna use a smaller canvas because this one is just too big. Let's use this one. Keep that there. The illustration I'm doing today isn't really too big, so we don't need a whole bunch of space for it, and I don't want to take up unnecessary space from Photoshop or RAM that's being used. So going into doing children's books full time, I would definitely say it is not a bad thing to ease your way into it until you find a reasonable amount of clientele and people who know you for what you do. So what this could look like is going on social media and telling people what you do. And it might take a while before you really develop enough people who recognize what you do, who trust you and believe that you're able to deliver. And delivering in your art looks different for different industries, but essentially for children's books, if you're simply doing illustration work, which involves making, or editorial work too, actually. So whether that's from doing illustrations for magazines, doing illustrations for book covers, doing illustrations for children's books, you really have to familiarize with what it takes for you to create that art. And coming right out of university, college, high school, or wherever you find yourself, whether you're middle-aged, you're a little older, and you're looking to even just do this on the side, finding out what that looks like for you honestly helps making the career change or the transition to doing something new much more bearable. So don't wait to take a course. Don't wait to go back to school to find out what this means for you in this new field that you're going into. So you should take the time to start working on a portfolio or practice creating book spreads. So a lot of people, what they do is they grab some of their favorite childhood stories and they recreate those books and create illustration spreads from them. And I find like that can be a really great way to start getting your feet in the water, to start practicing, because there's one aspect of children's books illustration that is essentially saying, I draw children's books and I can do book covers and I can do big spreads, but you have to develop the muscle of teaching yourself composition and laying out with text. I identify that it's still something I struggle with, and I'm thankful that I work on that on my own time. But the sooner you get into that habit of practicing it, is the sooner you can get over that hump of feeling, can I do this or not? The more you practice it and it just becomes a part of your workflow, this is just what you practice. The job is really just a matter of telling someone else, hey, I can do this, and reporting to them each and every step of the way, or at major landmarks, that you're able to commit to doing this thing. So it doesn't have to be overly complicated or convoluted and complex in ways that are hard to explain. It's as simple as getting up every day or getting up whenever you have time to start drawing intentionally. So really find books that you enjoy, find stories that you love, whether they're new creators, new illustrators or author illustrators that you love, and start really analyzing how did they lay out the text, how did they use color, is this a book that is featuring animals in it? How do they use animals, like animal characters? How do they use animal characters to convey emotion? And what is the effect that it's having? Because the readership and the viewer and the person you're hoping reads your book is honestly so important, and you're really thinking of the end to the beginning when you're illustrating the book. You're wondering, what is the effect you want to give to your readers. So as much as you want to make the art beautiful, it has to make sense for them too, and it has to read sensibly for them. So really consider some other authors that have made books, and think about, what can I take from these things to ensure that my readers, my viewers are having an easier time with understanding the media or the composition, the story of my children's book, because the art is a very important part of every children's book. So, if you do have any questions while I'm on the stream, you can go ahead and let me know. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you have while I'm live. I will not be live as long as an hour today, so maybe I'll be on for 20 more minutes before I have to sign off. So I'll just continue talking about whether or not how to know when you're ready to become an illustrator or a children's book illustrator. So to start, a lot of people will start to tell you, if you haven't done this already, they'll start telling you, hey, I want you to do my book for me. And that's one of the biggest indicators that people are seeing your work in a space that essentially they've already decided for you where your work is making sense for them. Seems I'm having a little bit of lag, and I'm not sure why, but I may have to go back to my previous setup that I had last week, because this is not good. I don't like the buffering, and hopefully it will resolve itself in time. But maybe I have to switch to a different format of video when I'm connected to the computer. And so I'm not sure what that actually looks like. Let me think about this. So what I could do is maybe for today walk you through one of my old actually maybe I can walk you through one of my old portfolios. So I'm in a process right now, because I don't want to have the stream lag, and a lot of the things that I'm sharing with you are just getting lost in the buffering. So maybe I can walk you guys through one of my old pieces. So to start, actually no, I should have kept it open. Yeah, I'm still experiencing that lag that I noticed a while ago. So let me see if I can open a new tab here, take you to my website. And hopefully this lag will resolve itself. I really just want to commit to finishing this stream more than anything. So here's my website. I haven't updated it in a long time, but I find the work on there is just as good. So when you enter my website, it prompts you straight into some of the illustrations that I've made. Granted, some of these are older, but they suffice. And if we go to portfolio, there's character design and there's illustration. So when you open illustration, it gives you like a bigger image of some of the pieces that I've made that were listed on the front. And when we go back, I'm gonna show you character design. So I made this in 2019, and it's not my most recent work, but it's something that I've made where I said, I'm going to force myself to make a children's book portfolio. And to be honest, when I created it, I said it's going to be more general. And this is a portfolio I made right after I came back from teaching EFL in South Korea. And I said, I really want to just start doing art on the side. And I would love to do even ESL in Canada here full time and just slowly progress inside of doing children's books over time. And so I started in September and I finished in around December. So I spent about, 3 months? 3 months from start to completion to get all this down. And honestly, I want to redo this portfolio and I want to do this live on YouTube and walk everybody through this process of creating a portfolio, because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And I took a lot out of me to create this portfolio. And so when I made it, I thought of a story in my mind. This story is based off of an experience I had going to when I was living in Quebec for a while. And I was learning French. I was on a French immersion course, and it was really strenuous. So I came up with this character for the short period stay, and it was a short story. So her name was Alice Brown, and the text here is actually not filled in. It's like lorem ipsum, so it's not real language. It's just to help the look of the portfolio of like pages. So here's the first page. I had some colored pictures, and some sketches here, and another one here. And then here is an example of a turnaround that I made for her back in 2019, and some other variations I made of the design before settling on this one, which is the official design. So I created this here, so you can count and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just juxtaposed all the sketches that I made and compiled it onto a page where it made sense. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can get this screen to be my actual, like what you guys are seeing. So let's see if I can do that in OBS. So just give me one moment and I will iPhone portfolio, this one. Okay, capture cursor. Yep. So let's see if, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so first, this was the top here was the first page 1 and 2. And then we scroll down and we have the old designs that I was making. So I went through various versions. So I had the uniform, some different uniform styles that I went through over here. And even this character that I really liked. I thought she was so cute. But I didn't end up sticking with her. I explored some hairstyles that I wanted to go through over here. And I just kept exploring. And essentially your portfolio is an opportunity to show the client that you're thinking about these things before you make a final decision, and you're really narrowing down the best option based on what you believe is best based on your exploration and your adventure. So you're taking them on that adventure of exploration. So here we are on the next spread. So I have the same character that I designed above, and I made some expressions, an expression sheet. So here you can see that. I wish I could like zoom in. to make it a bit better. I don't know how much more zoomed in it should be, but it seems like it's so far away. So here I made the expression sheets and an imaginary locker, like she's opening a locker and she's talking. And it just helps give the client, the agent, the publisher, anyone who you're working with, an idea of what it would be like to work with you. So here we have some images and some sketches of the character in motion, and you see what you're also explaining to them is like, this is what your sketches would look like my sketches actually look this clean usually when I send them in, and so they're only rough when I'm not given enough time and I don't have the capability to bandwidth to do it within that amount of time. So here's some more explorations of what I've made. And then if you keep scrolling, I came up with some sample characters that might exist in this world at the same time. And so I have Marcus and Dee Dee, and I have them colored once, and then I go into some black and white sketches all throughout. And I just kept exploring it. It's just an opportunity to show everyone that you've explored. So here are some general poses, nothing specific, but things that just show that I'm thinking about the characters in a world and showing everyone that this is what I'm thinking about. Keep going. We have Kim and Sean. So we have a shorter character, we have lean characters, we have tall characters, we have fuller characters, round characters, characters of different ethnicities, different eye shapes, different hair shapes, and we have a rough sketch, we have cleaner sketches. And then, to be honest, this was a page I just threw in because I just needed to feel, I wanted it to feel full. And I just had fun with it and threw it in there. So when I redo my portfolio, this is not what I would be doing. So if you can find yourself just putting together a sample story of, these are characters that could potentially exist, things that I'm having fun with, then you can at least tell yourself, I'm capable of making these things. I'm capable of creating a book. At this point, I hadn't worked with big publishers yet. And I was working with authors who are self-publishing, which is awesome and amazing. And this gives them an even better visual of the capabilities of what I can do. Whether you're working for a large publisher or whether you're working with people who are self-publishing. So next, I have some teachers that I thought would be really fun to include, like a principal type over here. We have a different body type here. You can kind of just see how I was playing around. I know going into it this time, when I get into revamping my portfolio and doing it over, I would keep the style a lot more consistent. And I think that was something I was teaching myself, but I didn't let it stop me from creating the portfolio, knowing that my style wasn't perfectly consistent every single time. So now at the bottom, I'm walking people through the process of how I illustrate how it goes from sketch to final. So we have the super rough sketch at the top over here. Then I went down and I lined it, but I was like, I'm not really feeling it. It just feels kind of weird. Then I went over to the top right over here and I drew it again, and I'm like, it's a bit closer, but not quite. Then when I brought it to final, that's when I made some final decisions when I colored it, and it gives you a better sense of what I was thinking of and how I walked through that process. And then right after, this is actually the last page of my most recent portfolio work that I'd created in 2019. And then it goes into some sketches that I made that give people an idea of what I can do. So I actually super love these two illustrations. This page is actually one of my favorite ever. And oddly, I have always found that my older work reflects my skill sets much better than some of my newer work. So as we progress downward, the work is actually getting older. So this is some old work, some old studies that I made. I believe I made these in South Korea, to be honest. And here was a character that I made for a sample book that I was designing. And here's a turnaround that I made. I believe this was done in 2018 or 2017. So practicing turnarounds is an essential part of doing children's books, and they may not always request it from you early on to know if you can do this. You just have to know you can do it for yourself. So practicing it and demonstrating and showing that you can inside of your portfolio really gives people a lot of confidence that you know what you're doing, and you're able to maintain a sense of consistency in your characters at all times. So I did a bit more exploration of Tika, which is such a cute character that I designed. And I believe this was when I was in South Korea. People love this page because she's the sweetest little thing. And I had a lot of fun with her. I really did. So continuing down, I did some more explorations of her. And she loved science. So here we are again with her and her parents. I thought it was so sweet. So look, 2017 is when I made these sketches. What is that? Maybe almost 6 years ago. So a lot has changed in my style, but I definitely want to revamp what I've done. So we can keep going. This is also a really popular sketch that I've made that people really love and respond to. And that brings us to the end of the portfolio. So having a portfolio, like I said before, is a super important part of having it's an important part of showing your clients, people you want to work with, and the industry you want to get into as an illustrator as a whole, telling them I can do this. My portfolio is a demonstration to people who want to work with me that I do children's books and that I'm well versed in it. Surprisingly, one thing I don't have here is demos of actual book spreads, and this is something I didn't have time to do. However, it didn't stop me from having potential jobs. So I don't want you guys to feel like it needs to be perfect, because I did not finish my art degree. I left my art degree and I came back to doing art. And I have a degree in ESL, and I have a degree in linguistics and a certificate in ESL, and I still work in illustration full time. So your portfolio literally just needs to tell people, this is my skill set, this is what I can do. And if you work with me, you can confidently move forward knowing that everything you're seeing in this portfolio is what you will get in your book. I am missing a lot of things in my portfolio, and it's not perfect. Honestly, it's not perfect, and I look at it now and I cringe a lot because it's not where I feel like it should have been. However, that didn't stop me from making my work and getting jobs and getting really great bookings that put me through the height of the pandemic. So don't sell yourself short just because your style is a little bit inconsistent here and a little bit inconsistent there. Look at my spreads. They're not perfect either, but that did not stop people from working with me. So you have to give yourself a shot, and you have to bet on yourself sometimes, and you have to allow yourselves to fail, because if you don't, then you'll never really know if you're improving or how to get better, because you never allowed yourself the opportunity to see that you weren't ready. And it's not always about not being ready. It's more so about growing from a place that you've already committed to. So my husband always says, you have to commit to the play. And it's true. Sometimes you just have to start and finish something, because if you don't finish it, there's no lesson that you learn. You're actually just teaching yourself that, let me just keep reworking it. And I struggle with that big time. So it's not about reworking things until it gets perfect. It's not about fixing it in the dark so that your big reveal will be perfection. It's not about that. It's about working through things and getting to a place where, hey, you know what? I did this. The next one, it's going to be better. So I'm going to be going live again every Friday. This is the end of this live. My voice is almost gone. But I wanted to tell you guys, I will be redoing my portfolio. I'm going to be doing it live with you guys, and I look forward to it, because I'm going to be showing you the old stuff as you're seeing now and how I'm going to revamp it so you have an idea of what to expect and how to go forward with a better mindset towards building your portfolio. So if that's something you're interested in, I highly suggest you messaging below or messaging me personally. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to gauge if this is something you want to see or if there's something of higher importance that is important for you to know. So thank you so much for being on this stream. It was fun discussing whether or not, or how to know if you're going to be ready to become a children's book illustrator, and if this is something that you can see yourself doing. It's not about perfection. It's about the process and the journey. It really is. But we all have to start by putting out what we have now, so that let everyone else determine if you're ready, because sometimes we're our hardest critic. So that concludes the stream, and I'll see you guys next week Friday at 12 p.m. and we'll definitely be doing something really interesting too. So see you later.